board is here either in person or telephonically, and the cabinet people are missing, so who are they?
We have absent today Dr. Donna Salazar and Laura Fisher.
Okay.
No, I need the blank paper to write on.
This? Nope.
Yeah, she has one. She's here.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 8, 2021 meeting?
So moved, Linda Porras.
By Linda Forrest, is there a second?
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
Wendy Jonathan, is there any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anna?
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 5-0. Mr. Bailey, is there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, one item, thank you. Under Personnel Action Certificated, item 29.1, there is a correction. As stated, this would be an 11-month employee, whereas it needs to be a 12 months. So contract would begin July 1, 2021, as opposed to the August 02, 2021 start date. So modified to July 1.
That modification, is there now a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Linda Porras.
By Linda Forrest, is there a second?
Bishop Pierce, second.
Second by Bishop Pierce. Any discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All those opposed? That carries 5-0. Community staff student recognition.
I believe we have Mrs. Mary Perry, our PIO, approaching the microphone as we speak, or as I speak, that is. Mary Perry.
I'm getting there. Good evening. So I only have 3 this evening, so it'll go a little quicker than usual. I'd like to begin by asking you to congratulate Desert Ridge Academy and the Save Promise Club for winning a Sandy Hook Promises Inclusion Award. So students from DRA presented at the National Youth Violence Prevention Summit, and their club was actually only formed in January, so it's a really big honor that they were selected. Their mentorship program that was honored assigned 6th graders and all new students to a student leader and so much more. So congratulations to teacher and advisor Teresa Amadei and all her students. I'd also like to tell you that we're very proud of the continued recognition that DSUSD receives for our work to not only provide technology to our students, but to keep them safe as they're online. And the latest recognition is from IMS Global Learning Consortium with a Learning Impact Award for our implementation and use of the Catch On program. We received a bronze medal for work to keep students safe while online, and Catch On is a tool that allows the district to follow 100% of the activity on 100% of the student devices. And in a video interview with our own Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer, it's noted that the tool has been successful in many ways, including capturing information about apps and companies that don't follow the protocols specified by DSUSD. So now, Kelly, would you like to elaborate on it at all?
Thank you very much. As Mary mentioned, we use Catch On, and it definitely helps us to ensure that we're only using applications and software that have followed our vetting procedure to ensure that they're safe and they follow the procedures outlined in AB 1584, legislation passed in 2015 to ensure that students were safe online. So we're very honored to receive that award.
So I know you join me in congratulating Kelly and the entire team who are so committed to keeping our kids safe in this online world. Finally, I'd like to once again note how talented our students are. And so 4 of our artists have been recognized by the Riverside County Office of Education for the May Mental Health Matters Spirit Week poster contest. So congratulations to Harper Draper from George Washington Charter Elementary School and Chloe Hucalock from Amelia Earhart Elementary School for receiving honorable mention in the kindergarten and second grade division, because I know the guys are showing you the slides. Then to Mariela Cortez of Gerald Ford Elementary School for placing second in the 2nd through 5th grade division. And finally to Atsiri Rojas of La Quinta High School for an honorable mention in the high school division. And those are my presentations for this evening. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mary.
Introduction, Mayor recently promoted employees. I see we don't have any. We have one information item, the California School Dashboard Local Indicators. We'll move on to staff conference items, and we will do the Avid update.
I'll defer to Dr. Kelly Mae Vollmer to introduce the speaker.
All right, so we're very fortunate this evening to have an update on our Avid program in Desert Sands. And presenting this evening at the end will be Kevin Bebo, the Director of College and Career Readiness. And beginning our presentation, and I have to give a little accent on her title, the newly titled Dr. Carrie Penny, who successfully defended her dissertation about a week ago. She is our project facilitator for Avid and GATE in Desert Sands, and she'll be starting off our presentation.
Thank you, and good evening. And first of all, I'd just like to thank the board and the cabinet for this opportunity to share Avid in our district. And then I'd also like to take a moment to thank our students, our teachers, and our community members who have supported us this year. So I'm going to start with Avid's mission because it's changed a little bit. Avid's mission is to close the achievement gap by preparing all students for college readiness and success in a global society. It's only changed by one word, but this one word makes a huge difference in the alignment with our district, and that is opportunity. So our district has the mission of inspiring and nurturing every student one opportunity at a time, and this has really helped to align Avid's, thank you, Avid's mission with our district's mission. Avid in numbers this year, we have 835 high school students, 1,167 middle school students, 354 long-term English language learners who are part of Avid Excel, 3,951 elementary students, and so a total this year, during our pandemic, we've had 6,307 students being a part of Avid and receiving those Wicker strategies and systems. In addition to that, we have 452 of our educators who are committed to attending digital workshops provided by Avid to make the transition from brick and mortar to distance learning easier. And 164 communities of practice sessions were attended by our registered educators for the Digital XP last summer, so they continued their learning throughout the school year. So we start with Avid Elementary, starting young, closing that opportunity gap starting in TK, and we're very proud that we have 7 elementaries in Desert Sands, and we are super excited to welcome Johnson Elementary and Principal Brad Fisher and Nicole Dean to our Avid Tribe team this coming fall. Our Avid Elementary transition was very feared upon by our educators going to distance learning, but the system and the strategies that are Avid made the transition that much smoother. Our teachers came together and created the binders and the agendas to organize students' materials and thoughts and time at home. They were picked up, and we continued our mission of sharing college and career opportunities and awareness on campus with college and career, exploring careers even in TK, and also having the opportunity to go technical with our e-binder. In addition to that, we really concentrated and aligned our social emotional learning with our MTSS initiative, and we're able to really adopt the reflective learner and the reflective scholar. And so you'll see that those are one-pagers being done at home and shared online. So we did our organizational tools and methods, did not skip a beat during the transition to distance learning. Our goal setting and reflection still continued. We built our college-going culture by still having those college and career talks in every classroom and transitioning, refining and collaborating with Wicker strategies. So on a distance platform, using the tools and of Jamboard and Flipgrid and all those wonderful programs that teachers were able to use and do philosophical chairs, and all the Avid strategies transitioned very nicely. The other thing that transitioned really nicely with our district site team, which is made up of the Avid coordinators from every site, we talked about iReady being our universal assessment that we've adopted here in Desert Sands. And so how are we going to transition that to distance learning with our students and bringing it to the forefront? And so what we did is with our agendas, we were able to personalize them. And on the left-hand side, you will see that we've added lessons learned so that students can graph their lessons completed on iReady, either reading or math, and on a weekly level, make goals for themselves. So social emotional learning through self-management and self-regulation, and also making responsible decisions using those strategies. We definitely made it so that our students took ownership of their learning and were able to manage their time and their materials and their thoughts, even in a distance learning world. And that brings us to middle school. So middle school, we have Avid in all of our middle schools, and all of our Avid schools are going school-wide. We have Desert Ridge, Jefferson, and John Glenn that are all recognized as national sites of distinction for going school-wide with Avid. And what does that look like as we transition to distance learning? Our educators really made use of the homeroom time, spreading the love of Wicker strategies, what norms would look like in a distance learning classroom. We continued our GPA check on Synergy as a classroom, making sure that students were putting those things in their agendas. We also had college kickoff week. La Quinta Middle School actually did an I Am College art contest. So they really thought outside of the box to make sure that all of these strategies didn't reduce the rigor, but actually increase the rigor with scaffolds and supports in place. And like all things Avid, we celebrated. So the Wicker Wizard Award there was printed out for any student who was participating and doing a really good job as an Avid scholar. And they were received in a drive-up celebration rally. In addition to that, all of our middle schools participated in College and Career Week, where usually we have speakers come in and talk to our students about their professions. This year prevented us from doing that, but our district site team got together and had speakers record their careers and talk about the path that led them there. So students were able to choose their own adventure. This is Thomas Jefferson, and they created a website so that students could go in and choose and click on the careers that they were interested in. In addition to that, we wanted to make sure that students were engaged, and I really think that our Avid educators went far beyond the call of duty, doing everything that they possibly could to get students engaged. And that's Mr. Rojo up there highlighted in the left-hand side. He teaches Avid at Desert Ridge and is now known as Coach Disney. He took on the persona of a YouTuber to get his students engaged, and you can see that in his classroom there are no black screens. All of those students have their cameras on and are engaged in learning. And this is wonderful news. I love showing things with data and growth. And so as we look at our attendance rates over the last 3 years, you will see the highlighted portion there is our Avid students, and they are surpassing the attendance rate of the whole site even 98 and 99% in some of those classes in different grade levels, and that is all of our middle schools. So we are extremely excited that even during distance learning, they were able to get such high attendance rates.
All right, so our staff scholar focus this week is going to be our very own counselor, Mrs. Rutledge. She attended the University of New Hampshire, and check it out. That's a beautiful looking school over there.
So that's Todd Biggert from John Glenn Middle School, who created video announcements every day that highlighted colleges, highlighted his staff, and that transitioned to mostly all of our middle schools were doing something similar. So I wanted to share that with you. Thinking outside the box, even our Avid tutorials, which makes up a really important part of our middle school experience, is having those tutorials. And so you'll see on the left of that image there that that's an in-class brick and mortar tutorial with a college tutor present. It did not skip a beat with going to distance learning. We were able to get those tutors trained and in breakout rooms doing tutorials. However, we didn't use as many tutors as we could because of the schedule. So Avid Secondary, we're at high school, and this does not fail to surprise us or excite us about what happened in high school this year. So I'm going to start with a quote from Tony Frazier, who's our Avid coordinator at Shadow Hills High School. Our instructional focus moved into gamifying and choice of learning. We wanted our students motivated as we moved into digital learning. And so they took an entirely different approach to assignments and made it a contest, like a game, so gamification, where each module had an assignment, and that could be growth mindset, filling out the FAFSA, filling out applications, doing a personal essay. And students were able to do those assignments, complete them, and gain points, and rise up the leader scoreboard. And did it work? Well, I think attendance doesn't lie. We had students engaged, and even in high school, some of our challenging high schoolers still managed to make it to class and turn on their cameras and again surpass our attendance rate for sites. So switching gears, Avid school-wide is the way that we are heading, and in order to do that, we follow 74 indicators under 4 domains of the CCI, which is the certification process. And so those 4 domains are instruction, systems, leadership, and culture. So I'll start with instruction. As the district director and kind of leader of the site team, I monitor and attend and will do classroom walkthroughs. And what I'm really looking for when I'm there is student empowerment and also student ownership. So looking to see if students are really understanding what they're doing and those skills that they're learning. And I can honestly say that the agendas have taken us to an entirely different level of organization. Our students are taking ownership and writing down goals, even if they're I-ready or even if they're personal goals. And I think that that's a skill that they will carry into their lives. But nothing says it more like a student. So I want to share this student. This is a student from Carry On when he was being asked about how he was going to feel about going to hybrid.
I'm trying to get me into the habits of getting into the Avid binder because I know we're going to go back to school on March 15th. And I'm really excited to go back to school. So
Bro, can we turn up the sound on that?
Habit of putting everything in here. So that's why I don't forget anything from home.
I'm just going to pause it, just because it's so important to hear this young boy. Okay, I'll let you do something real quick. I'll still talk. So I'll let him speak for himself, but this is not something that's different for any level of instruction, whether it was our elementary or our middle or our high school. Most of our students would all say the exact same thing and how confident they were. And so hopefully you'll be able to hear him this time.
I'm trying to get me into the habits of getting into the Avid binder because I know we're going to go back to school on March 15th. And I'm really excited to go back to school. So I'm trying to keep my habit of putting everything in here. So that's why I don't forget anything from home to go to school. And there's a ton of math things. I have my Go Math chapter 5 and 6, and just a ton of worksheets for math.
This video goes on and shows the young girl that was sitting beside him on the screen there go into her desk and show that she's kept all of her agendas, every single agenda, because she's written personal information in there, and so kind of keeping it as a diary. So I think that that's a huge success as far as instruction goes.
I'm trying to get me into the habits of.
So instruction also, the big piece is collaboration, and when we think about collaboration in a distance learning environment, I know that we were all in fear of it. There were some barriers of wondering how we were going to provide that opportunity. One of Avid's indicators is to make sure that we have 10-2-2, and 10-2-2 means 10 minutes of instruction, 2 minutes of collaboration, and 2 minutes of reflection. Extremely important in order for students to be able to process information. And we rose to that occasion. And so on the left side, you will see that there's collaboration going on a distance learning level using Seesaw, Nearpod, breakout rooms, even AB partners were learning how to chat with each other using sentence frames. On the right side, you will see that we went back to hybrid. And what does that look like when you have some of your peers at home and some of your peers in the classroom? We were still able to provide those opportunities to collaborate. That's the home learners. We called them homies and zoomies. So the zoomies were on the screen on the LFD and still able to have collaborative opportunities, whether it was with philosophical chairs or working on a Google Doc, a shared Google Doc. So systems, the systems domain, and I'm really excited to share a couple things with you about systems. This is the open access. So one thing that Avid did this year that I was super excited about was opened up their platform for all educators. So whether our non-member sites or our Avid sites, they were all able to join in on podcasts and lots of instruction in order to help with facilitating, keeping abreast of some really great strategies and what that looked like in a digital, modeling what it looked like on a digital platform. And are our systems working? I think they are. I think these numbers speak volumes. When we looked at cumulative GPA with all of our secondary sites, you will see those Avid numbers. That's our Avid students on the right. And the arrows are pointing to a growth, like from the all students at a site as compared to our Avid students. So our Avid students' GPAs were higher than the site average. Leadership. Being both the Avid coordinator and principal at John Glenn Middle School has afforded me the opportunity to grow as a professional and a leader. I'm proud to be part of a site-wide program that truly paves the path of excellence for our students. Glenn is Avid. And I'd just like to thank the board and the cabinet for giving us the opportunity to have that district site team made up of Avid coordinators. It has really elevated and allowed us to push forward in our growth. But having Todd be both a principal and a coordinator and be part of that team really brought a different lens to the team. It brought an administrative lens. And so we were really able to dive deeper into how we were going to vertically, horizontally articulate and grow stronger feeder patterns. In addition to leadership, all of our leaders have done a really great job. A shout out to Dr. Mendoza from DRA, who took the opportunity of distance learning and that January PD in-service day to train her entire staff. We spent the whole day, and now her staff is 100% trained, which brings her to another highly certified level with Avid. So we celebrated that. Lastly is culture, and culture is probably my favorite because you can move an entire campus by moving culture, by moving with celebrating achievements and really acknowledging that doors are opening and keeping those doors open for students. It is really important that we change cultures on campus to show that those opportunities do exist for all students. And so one of the indicators in culture is that all students in Avid should be able to go to college trips and visit colleges, get to feel what they feel like, get excited about them, be able to ask questions. Well, how are we going to do that if we weren't allowed to get on buses and go on trips? And so Avid had a podcast, and from that our district site team got together and figured out how we could bring the culture into the classroom. And with that, we have, this is Lincoln Elementary that does morning announcements highlighting colleges and college talk and career talk. On the left is Indio High School, who had college talk with their seniors, talking about the colleges that they were interested in. And the class of 2021 from Palm Desert High School, I'd really like to celebrate them this year. They visited 68 colleges virtually this year, which is outstanding and pretty amazing. They had 100% of their students apply for FAFSA, and all of them have been accepted into a 2-year or 4-year college.
So there was funding that was originally allocated for Avid tutors, but due to COVID and the restricted access of tutors working with students, that was not expended. So the Avid District Site team collaborated, and they determined that the funding would be redirected into building the college and career culture on campuses through art. Murals were designed and painted on the exteriors of selected buildings on some campuses, as you're about to see. These murals raise the awareness of elementary and middle school students to the opportunities they have through Desert Sands and Avid, here we go, to realize their college and career dreams. From an early age, they are provided with inspiration to work hard and achieve success. When they get to high school, they can begin to actualize their dreams through one of the many career and technical education programs. In support of this effort, and to provide consistency for Avid students in CTE, those CTE teachers not already trained in the Avid methodology will be provided with professional development in Avid this year. This will reinforce not only the academic and technical skills learned through CTE, but also the professional or soft skills as well. We know these murals are working when we listen to the conversations even our youngest students are having as they pass by this beautiful artwork. Just recently, a student at Dr. Carrion Elementary was overheard in front of this mural telling her friend, "My career's not up there yet. I'm going to be a chef." We are closing the opportunity gap as we initiate the college and career conversation early in our students' education.
This video is at the dedication, and I'm sharing it with you because we've heard a lot of different perspectives, but sometimes we don't hear the parents' perspective on what Avid is doing for them. And so I wanted to share the parents at this dedication ceremony at Carry-On.
My name is Oralia Saldiva. As a parent, I can see how my girls, they grow up and be organized. And I'm very proud then in the program of Avid to have it here in our school, Dr. Carrion.
Hi, my name is Gerardo Saldivar, and we can see how Avid's been helping them with being organized, not just at the schoolwork, but at home. That helps too, and I'm sure they'll be ready for college. Thank you.
So before you go, Yuretsi, if you'll stay for just a second. All right. So Yuretsi was recently recognized as our RIMS Avid Standout Student in a virtual ceremony. It is my absolute pleasure to present Yuretsi with her certificate this morning. Oh my God, Yuretsi. Wow.
So I just wanted to share that because her expression, the mom's expression right there at the very end, I don't know why it's doing that, says it all. When she gasped at her daughter receiving an award, the idea of breaking down barriers and opening those doors was so vivid in her expression, and I think that's what Avid is. And so lastly, but not least, we say Desert Sands is future focused with Avid. We were recently recognized by Avid Center, and 5 of our educators were filmed for a video and that went national for a national seminar. In addition to that, we've received the PANDA grant from Avid, recognizing the work that we've been doing district-wide to take this opportunity for all students district-wide. And lastly, this is Keisha. She's from Shadow Hills High School. She is a scholarship winner from RIMS Avid. This is the first year that we've had a recipient. We actually had 2 this year. And I'd just like to end with her saying in her own words what Avid means to her.
With these skills that Avid helped me work on,
I know I will be successful in college and the college level classes I will take. My sophomore year, we had a Game of Life project where we chose our dream career, our dream college, spin the wheel to see what our personal life would look like, and then calculate the costs. I wanted to become a doctor, and Avid put the cost of living and schooling into perspective. I decided to research a career that incorporated the medical field and the STEM field that wouldn't cost as much as becoming a doctor. That's when I found the career of a biomedical engineer. The more I looked into it, the more I couldn't wait to study in college. One of the first schools that Avid introduced me to was UC San Diego. They have an integrated 5-year bachelor's master's program in bioengineering. Just recently, I committed to UCSD, and I'm super excited for my future there as a Triton. Even beyond college, I will never forget what I've learned in all of my Avid classes throughout the years.
And so we just want to thank you for this opportunity of sharing. I mean, we could probably be here all night, but you only allow us a little bit of time. And so we are going for DSUSD Avid 2025. So thank you.
Questions or comments?
Excellent presentation, and I was lucky to attend the Dr. Carry-On opening with Mr. Bailey and see the beautiful mural. I just love all the murals that give the kids that vision of the future and what's possible. And I don't mean to be ignorant, but what is wicker?
Okay.
Besides furniture.
Well, I'm excited to share what wicker is.
I'm all about acronyms and figuring out what they mean.
Wicker is at the core of Avid. It stands for Writing to Learn, Inquiry, Collaboration, Organization, and Reading to Learn. And so under all of those are multiple strategies in order to incorporate them into the classroom to raise the rigor and provide the scaffold so that all students can meet that rigor.
You know, back in the day when I heard Avid and it was only in middle school or high school, I forget, I thought, well, basically it's teaching them organizational skills, having an agenda and keeping organized and being organized in school. But I see that there's so much more, and it gives them the confidence and focus. So I really appreciate your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You guys always do such a great job with presenting, and I wish that I had Avid when I was a kid, because I really think that it just changes kids' lives, because it really does prepare them for college and their future, you know, to be lifelong learners. And anyway, I just think you guys are just doing a great job. I also love how you grow. You don't just stop and say, okay, this is just the way it is. You actually are learning as you're going too. You know, you always make it better. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Penny. And hello, Mr. Bebo. I didn't even recognize you guys. You know, that's the problem with the masks. You can never recognize anybody. I just want to say how, you know, I know in the 8 years that I've been on the school board, 9 years, I guess now, we've talked about Avid, and I know it's been in our LCAP and we've been increasing it. And I've been really pleased to see how we've gone into the elementary schools, because that was my biggest concern, is let's get them early. And I see we've added, as you said, Johnson is now going to be joining the family. Do we have any kind of time frame, if any, that at one point will we be all-inclusive with all of our elementary schools? Because I just see all these elementary schools enjoying the fruits of Avid. And I know that it's a choice sometimes by that school, but I'm hoping that we'll get all the elementary schools to get on board like we have with the middle and high schools.
Well, I think that what you mentioned, choice, is a really powerful thing. And as we bring on elementaries, it's their choice. So staff and administration have to agree. There is a belief there, right? So like was mentioned before, there is a belief for wanting to provide that opportunity and to build that culture.
Right.
And I think that as we see the successes, which we're starting to see the successes as we refine and as we build this district site team, we've been given implementation days, which we take very, very seriously and work very hard on figuring out how to align and how to be strategic and intentional about what we're implementing. I think that the pandemic kind of put a little bit of a halt, a little bit of a hiccup in our growth. However, even during that time, we were able to bring on Johnson. I know that there are a couple of other elementaries that are that were probably going to come on board, but because of this last year, want to come back brick and mortar, have a year, and then come on board next year. So my goal, if I have my way, we will be district-wide by 2025, and all students will be embedded in this, and that will be our high schools and our middle schools going school-wide. As of right now, they're not totally school-wide. It's not school-wide until all students have the same opportunities.
Yeah, and we talk about equity, and it really does, is it equitable for some schools and not others? And I know it's a choice by schools, but it would be my dream as well to see all of our elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools doing it. And it would be nice if we had it for all, because those skills I could have gotten value from my two boys that were academically really good, but sometimes their organizational skills were not all perfect. So I appreciate all the work you've done and the growth that you've made with our schools, and it's obvious by the data that we see that you've been very effective. So thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for the report.
Thank you.
Anna Conover, do you have any remarks or questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Just like Ms. Jonathan, I would love to see every single school being an Avid school. I'm glad to see that there is an implementation schedule. Thank you for the information.
And I thank you also for the presentation. I think one of the most valuable things Avid does is it takes our students to colleges and universities, because one of the hardest things to impress on a student is when you graduate from high school, going to college is not like going to high school. And so when you get them on those campuses and they see, how much larger they are and how many different opportunities you have, I think that works wonders in getting students prepared for college. So I really appreciate that about the Avid program. So thank you.
I just want to say thank you, Dr. Penny, Mr. Bebo. I appreciate the presentation. It was awesome. And I couldn't help but think when I was hearing about all the successes, our tagline is "The future is here." And really what you presented and those data that prove the program illustrates the future is here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to the California School Dashboard Local Indicators presentation.
So we have Lee Baird, our Coordinator of Assessment and Accountability, that will be making this presentation this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Board, Cabinet, thank you so much for having me here tonight to share with you a little bit about our process in determining the outcome of our California School Dashboard Local Indicators. Now, when most of you think about the California School Dashboard, and when you see me at the podium, you generally hear from me giving you a report on our state indicators. That's where we know our colorful 5x5 charts, and here's our status, and here's our change, and tonight's a little bit different. What a lot of people don't realize is that our our California dashboard has two different types of indicators, our local indicators and our state indicators. Now again, the state indicators, which many people are very familiar with, measure 4 of our LCFF priorities. Now, 2 weeks ago, my amazing colleague, Kristen Wood, gave a presentation on our LCAP and all other related LCAP documents that she has been inundated with and has done an amazing job with this year. So she went into great detail in her presentation about the 8 different LCFF priority areas. And my goal today with you is to share with you the priorities that are specific to our local indicators. I will be back next year, yes, it will be next year, January 2022, to give you an update
on what will be a modified dashboard for 2022. 2021. Get my years right. But this evening, our focus is on the local indicators. So our local indicators, as mentioned, address several of our LCFF priority areas. And what's so important about all of our indicators, whether it be state or local, is the fact that they help us in making educated decisions in the creation of our LCAP. We're looking at data, whether it be qualitative or quantitative, across so many different sources to determine what are we doing well and what are our student needs and what can we do to help us grow. So our local indicators that we'll be reviewing tonight, we'll be covering priority 1, basic services, priority 2, the implementation of state academic standards, priority 3, parent engagement, priority 6, school climate, and priority 7, access to a broad course of study. So again, our focus tonight is only on local indicators. I will return in a few months to give you an update on our modified dashboard when that gets approved. All right, how do our local indicators get measured? As I mentioned, it's a series of qualitative and quantitative data sets that are combined to help us make decisions on how to best meet the needs of our students in our community. So we look at various sources, including something as simple as our Williams complaint reports. We look at our LCAP stakeholder input, which is always incredibly important. We dig in deeply to our Panorama climate survey results for both our students and our parents and our community. And we look at our offerings to our student population. Specifically, do students have access to courses, and do they have access to those rigorous courses as well? So those are some of the sources that we look at as we're looking at our local indicators today. And we're using a series of self-reflection tools and criteria that have been created by the State Board of Education to help us determine that the standard is met for each of these local indicators. So, how are they reported? When we log into our school district dashboard homepage, this is the first thing we see. And of course, our eye goes straight to the colors and what's our absentee rate and all of that. And we oftentimes look beyond what the bottom row, if you will, which is our local indicators. And when you click on any of those tiles, you actually see the narrative that gets submitted to the state, which you have in your information item this evening, the full report. So that being said, we'll focus on more of our process today that you can use in conjunction with the full report that you have from our board agenda. Priority 1, basic services. So what we're looking for here is that the number or percentage of misassignments of teachers of our English learners. And we are happy to report that we do not have, in 2021, any misassignments of our teachers for our English learners. We also have 0% teacher misassignments. Thank you to our personnel department for sharing this information to us. And we do have, at the time we wrote this, 3 vacant teacher positions. The second part of Priority 1 Basic Services is getting information regarding students' access to instructional materials at school or at home. And as reported to us, 100% of our students have access to the materials that they need to have. And the last piece actually comes from our maintenance department, and the fact that our facilities are in good repair, in good standard, and 100% of them are, which we're happy to report. Priority 2 focuses on the implementation of state standards. And when we're looking at the implementation of state standards, we have to look outside the box to think of ways to really determine if we are meeting this indicator. So we're focusing on feedback from administrators, walkthroughs that are happening in the classroom. We are looking at professional learning communities, professional development throughout the district to help support in the implementation of state standards. We provide all of our professional development attendees a survey to give feedback on not only how we did, but also what their needs are. We offer project facilitator support to all of our schools from content experts. And we also have our site instructional coaches that will help coach teachers at the school site to ensure that our state standards are being implemented in the classroom. And then, of course, we have some quantitative data that we always look at there is our student assessment results. Whether those be formative or summative assessments will help us to determine whether or not our state standards have been implemented in a manner that helps support student learning. Priority 3, parent engagement, an ever important priority, focusing on 3 different areas, including building relationships, building partnerships for student outcomes, and seeking decision making. And this is something we're actually quite proud of, is getting input from our parents and our community through so many different methods. I'm not going to read through all of them, but we have quite an extensive list of all the opportunities, and this is not exhaustive, but of opportunities that we provide to our parents to give input on our programs and our LCAP and Desert Sands. Priority 6 is school climate. This is where we really dig into the nitty-gritty of our Panorama data, specifically for the data that is provided by our students. And we're looking specifically at a few different areas when we're identifying specific questions on our Panorama survey that's administered to students, including support for academic learning, safety, knowledge and fairness of discipline, rules and norms, a sense of belonging, and school connectedness. And then our secondary students also are presented with a question on their satisfaction with the district. Now, when I first looked at this year's Panorama survey results, I'm not gonna lie, I was floored. And I looked at them and I questioned what's happening here. Do I have the right year? We're just coming out, at that time, we're in distance learning. And we would expect that the feedback from our students may not be so positive, but it was just the opposite. And our students were feeling pretty darn good. And the survey results definitely validated that. The results in each of these areas improved significantly from 2019, and you can see some of the specific data points in your report. Improvements and favorable responses in all areas and for all questions within the areas, with the exception of only one related to students having a friend or group to hang out with at lunch. Kind of an afterthought. Virtual lunchtime meetings, perhaps, I don't know. But there was a notable increase across all grade spans, and we were really excited to see that. The most notable increases were in questions having to do with the relationships between students and teachers, and that was exciting. Really proud of that. We were so excited about this, we thought we'd share with you the Wordles that come directly from the Panorama system. Now, this is specific to elementary school, and the question was, what are 2 things your school does well that it should continue to do? And please be as specific as possible. And these are some of the key words that popped out from the free responses that our elementary school students provided with us, things that they thought we were doing well. And that's pretty exciting to see. Some of our middle school responses. And some of our high school responses. Notice that online school was a part of that apparently our students thought that we were doing online school really well. And that's just encouraging to hear, knowing all the hard work that our teachers and our administrators put into providing the best educational opportunity for our students. The last area to share with you tonight is on the access of a broad course of study. the state wants to ensure that all students are provided with access and are enrolled in a broad course of study, that they're able to actually learn a multitude of things and have choices. And we provide that in many different ways, including inclusion. We have English learner programs to support those that are learning English, a dual immersion program, a huge focus on college and career, as you just heard from Ms. Penny and Mr. Bebo. Not fair that I had to follow that presentation, by the way. The implementation and continued work to build our MTSS tier system, providing both AP and IB opportunities to our schools, providing Avid, tons of support from counselors and from teachers, our students having the opportunities to be able to complete their A through G requirements because of the broad course of study, and then of course the technology to enhance learning. All things that are encompassing the reason why we believe that this particular priority area was met. And that's all I have for you today.
Any comments or questions?
For the presentation. I did have two questions. You say, and you can see that data in your, or you can see that information in your data. Where do I see the data? Or did I miss that memo?
So there is a report, the local indicators report that's on the informational item.
On the website?
Oh, it was a board agenda item, the information item. It's attached there.
I had to click on.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the second question is, maybe you recall, what % of students answered? Is this 312 that answered the Panorama?
That's a great question, yes, 312.
What % do you think answered of our total 312 population?
That's a great question. I would have to look that up. I can get that answer to you.
No problem. Maybe it says it on the data that I'm...
Yeah, it absolutely will. And the Panorama surveys provide so much great input to our entire school family that it's something that's very supported by our teachers and by our administrators. So I suspect it's a very high percentage.
Thank you. And thank you. It was no problem following them. Your report was very informational. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Thank you so much for your report. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job, Lee. Very informative. Do we have a place where we can, where it can be accessed by the parents, if the parents want to see that on our website? The Panorama survey, the report? I don't. Yeah. It might be worth it, only because it came out so positive. And that it gives the parents and the community reassurance that this is what we're getting back, feedback from our students. So, but excellent job. Thank you so much for all the hard work you do. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anna Conover, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions. Thank you for the presentation.
I don't have any questions either, Mr. Bailey.
I just want to say thank you, Lee. I know it's a lot of work to do these presentations, or prepare for the presentation, that is. And I, too, had the wow factor when I read through the Panorama data. At first, I was like, no, there's got to be something askew here. But it was very favorable, and it's a testament to the tremendous effort on behalf of students, parents, community, staff, everyone digging in to make it work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to public hearings, which we don't have any, and then we'll move to discussion COVID-19. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Griffith. As projected, the state of California moved to the Beyond the Blueprint on June 15th. We'll have just some very brief updates because a lot of the guidelines and changes in rules and so forth didn't apply to education, or it doesn't yet anyway. So we have brief updates. I'll defer to Dr. Kelly-May-Vollmer first.
Yes, as Mr. Bailey mentioned, very brief updates this evening. I have two for you. One is just that, as we mentioned at the last board meeting, summer school continues, and graduation for all of our high school programs has been scheduled for July 15th and will take place at La Quinta High School in the gymnasium. And currently, California Department of Public Health rules for indoor mask wearing still apply to school campuses. Therefore, attendees and participants currently at this time will still need to wear masks to that celebration. In addition, as we shift our focus to next year and our return to 5-day-a-week in-person, face-to-face instruction on our campuses, Educational Services is working to create support plans for the 21-22 school year that will assist sites as they work to really accelerate learning for any students that might be missing mastery of content from the previous year and being in a distance learning environment. Some of this work, not an exhaustive list, of course, but some of this work includes training that will be conducted around universal design for learning, really removing barriers that students might have to accessing core content. Also utilizing a data protocol tool that will be coupled with our iReady data and other assessment data so that we can determine which students are in need of additional support. And additionally, we're working, again, not exhaustive list, but planning and training of some support staff that will be working with small groups, again, as we work to accelerate learning for our students in need of that. And so we will, throughout the summer, keep the board updated on those plans through board meeting updates and the Friday letters.
Aquino, Business Services.
Yes, so for our, this is for our employees. This past November, California approved, as you know, the Cal-OSHA emergency temporary standards regarding COVID-19 infection prevention. It's a program which governs workplace safety. This past June, or on June 17, 2021, the Department of Industrial Regulations adopted changes to these standards. Those changes were based on rising vaccination rates and updated guidance from CDPH. Some of these changes are school district employees have to wear masks indoors. However, face coverings are not required outdoors except during outbreaks, regardless of an employee's vaccination status. They've changed the definition of face covering, which is to include a surgical mask, a medical procedure mask, a respirator worn voluntarily, or a tightly woven fabric or non-woven material of at least 2 layers. And just to clarify, a respirator is N95 is what qualifies as a respirator. Face coverings do not include scarves, a ski mask, baklava, bandana, turtleneck, collar, or single layer of fabric. And we got clarification, folding over the bandana doesn't qualify as a 2-layer fabric. One thing to mention is that our CPP plan, which is something that we are required to have under Cal-OSHA, it has not been updated to reflect these most recent changes, at least yet. We are working through some clarification of some conflicting data. In addition, Cal-OSHA, they haven't provided employers with a template like they did last time in November 2020 for us to adopt those new changes. Just like any previous information regarding these types of updates, the information is subject to change as the nature of these regulations have gone through a roller coaster of changes. So if you hear changes from us, don't be surprised. With regard to our visitors, masks are still required for unvaccinated individuals in indoor public settings. However, if indoors and in a non-youth setting, fully vaccinated people do not have to wear a mask. A person is considered fully vaccinated if they've received the 2nd dose of either Moderna, Pfizer, or had the 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson and 2 weeks have passed. So that is what's considered a fully vaccinated, and we would expect our visitors to self-attest that they are vaccinated. So in summary, we are looking at the additional changes from CDPH, the updated information from the Department of Industrial Regulations regarding the COVID-19 prevention program, and we'll provide the board with updates as we comb through all that information.
And a reminder that Mrs. Fisher and Dr. Salazar are absent today. I just want to underscore that we are planning on a 5-day, full-day schedule this fall. As far as the protocols and health guidelines that come with that reentry, that has yet to be determined, unfortunately. We're still getting weekly updates regarding those protocol, and all information regarding updates as we progress to that fall opening are posted on Super Seconds. So you can just quickly look on there and see if there's been any update I guarantee you, as soon as we receive it, we'll be updating on that post. Yes.
So, Mr. Aquino, at this time you spoke about employees and visitors, and I noticed outdoors employees do not have to wear masks. Would that, or we have had no feedback yet? I know Mr. Bailey just said, I don't know what has been said about if kids have to wear masks when they're outside playing.
I can actually answer that.
Okay.
So currently, when students are outside playing, and the question, just for clarification, was asked in the context of a recess setting. So those would be students under the age of those that are able to be vaccinated. If they can social distance outside, they do not have to wear masks.
Okay, we'll move on to section 16, public comment on open session items. I'll turn it over to Wendy Jonathan.
Hi. Communications from the floor in accordance with bylaws of the board, number 9323, from 6/25/19. Time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens present. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items shall have a 3-minute limit and shall indicate their intention at this time. In accordance with the law, decisions of the board cannot be made on any matter not previously published before the board meeting, as indicated in the bylaws of the board, number 9323.2. And our first speaker is Chris Geyer, and he's the assistant principal at Palm Desert Charter Middle School.
Good evening, Governing Council and management team. I am here to talk about the retiring principal, Sally Frazier. I know that all of you know her, but it's very easy to speak about her. I'm sad, but I'm very, very happy for her. She has had an incredible career, and just one that I can stand up here and just talk about easily. I met Ms. Frazier about 23 years ago. I was a tennis facilitator at Palm Desert High School, and she was hired on as one of the assistant principals. So we crossed paths at Palm Desert High. She was the assistant principal at Palm Desert Middle School before that. And then I know that I believe she's taught at Palm Valley before that. So, and then I moved over to Palm Desert Middle School, and then she came over a few years later. So we've been working together for probably almost 20 years now, and I can't say more about what she has done. The main thing is I sit and think about her career. She has influenced at least 3 generations of any student or any family that has gone through Palm Desert schools. So she has had the educational influence over 3 generations, and it is just absolutely incredible. And then a couple of years after she started working at Palm Desert Middle, then she met up with a person named Billy Laveau, who they teamed together, and we were adopted or voted on as a charter school, and then it changed our school forever. It has just made it absolutely wonderful to work there. So I can't say more. Well, there is one disagreement that we did have. Would you like to hear about it? Yeah, okay. So there was this football team. I think it was Ohio State. And then there was this other one, this USC. I think USC just had like a lucky 2 years in a row where they actually had a team that could compete with Ohio State. So we had this agreement that whoever lost the game, they had to wear the other team's hat in the parking lot and direct traffic for the next week. So unfortunately, the Buckeyes happened to lose those 2 years. So, but I still continued to work for her. So there's not more that I can say. Sally Frazier has just been a wonderful addition, and just she's formed a legacy in the last 3 generations of Palm Desert and in the Valley. So thank you.
Thank you. And I have an extra USC hat that you're more than welcome to borrow anytime you want. Now for our next speaker, Joshua Lecroy.
Hello? All right. I'm truly trying to understand what the purpose of our education is. You know, you totally talk about following the science and everything like that, teaching our kids correctly. All I've noticed, from what I have noticed when you guys teaching my kids, you've taught them how to live in fear. By each and every one of you up there still wearing your mask. And I bet most of you were vaccinated. You taught my children basically that I'm wrong and that they get to choose their own sex. Transgender is a thing. It's like, I understand that there is a couple kids that are confused, and you know what? I'm sorry, help them. I encourage that. But why confuse the rest of them? I don't understand that. It makes no sense. And then you've taught my children how to be racist. Black Lives Matter is the next KKK in all understanding. You cannot teach somebody to hate somebody by the color of their skin, period. It does not matter where you come from on it. And those are the main things that I don't understand. I don't get how this is coming through our schools. It does not make any sense to me. You guys are educators, and you're supposed to educate kids the correct way by helping them, by giving them the opportunities to want to learn and not hate each other or play victim. We're in America. We should teach them to be patriotic and understand our countries. You know, the fact that we can adopt the 1619 Project here in California is a joke. We need to teach proud Americans to be proud students to help push our country further. Thank you.
And I'm really going to try to say this, so if I say it wrong, can you correct me? Faustina Seville.
Good evening to all present. I would like to start by personally thanking this board for the decision made in allowing our children 2 extra days of instruction, even if these were minimum days during the school year that just ended. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. With that being said, this is not a one good deal. As a community, we need you to prove with actions that you will care about our input and continue to base your decisions on what's best for our children and families. You were elected by the people, and although some may have received help from union to get elected, your duty is ultimately to serve the people and not the union. Now, I would like to know in here who considers themselves a racist. Okay. So who in this room is comfortable with having another adult teach their children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and so on, as to how to please themselves in a sexual manner? Okay, just as I figured. And yet this group seems okay with introducing curriculums that contradict the responses. Are there racist people in this world? Of course there are. But it is not only whites who are racist, and contrary to what some perceive, being a jerk does not equate being a racist. In all honesty, our children nowadays are more accepting than previous generations. So much so that they are willing to accept input and ideologies from peers and educators over that of their own family. The indoctrination of our children began years ago, and I was so naive in thinking that education provided including only the basics and in entrusting this system with my children. School shutdowns allowed me to see how wrong I was, and that as an adult, I need to fight for it to go back to basics. During the last meeting, our dear union president asked for the extra funds, which had not been yet allocated, be given to staff. Although I, as well as other parents, knew this was the end goal, it's upsetting to have witnessed your approval. The money should have been used for benefit of our children and families. For example, in hiring tutors, implementing other programs to bring them up to the proper level that they should be at, since so many are more behind now than they were pre-pandemic. But you will continue to do as you please, And by doing so, we'll continue to lack transparency to us parents. I, on the other hand, will continue to fight for school choice. In the last meeting that I attended in person, it was mentioned by Mrs. Jonathan that this is already in place. But no, it is not. For the school choice that I am fighting for is that in which the funds will follow the child. For that is the only way to guarantee a better educational future for our children. And for now, I will not be putting my children in public school, for I don't agree with not only curriculums, but also math requirements for our children, whom you know are not super spreaders and all that. There are many parents that feel the same like I do, and I have no doubt will join the fight when the time comes. As always, thank you.
Thank you very much, and that concludes public comments.
Thank you, Mrs. Jonathan. Board and superintendent comments. Trish Pierce.
I have no comments at this time.
Linda Porras.
I just want to say that when I'm out wearing my mask indoors and they see the DSUSD mask that I'm wearing, I've had several people come up to me and just thank us for having our kids in summer school and going the last few weeks of school, that they're so excited that they've seen a huge change in their children just having that opportunity. So anyway, it makes me really feel good that we're able to do that and have our kids be in class. So that's all I have.
Wendy Jonathan.
Thank you. I just want to say I have nothing to report, but I can say, since it's not an agenda item that we're going to be voting on, we've already voted on her retirement. Sally will be missed, and she was the vice principal when my kids were over at Palm Desert High School. And I've worked with her as the principal over at Palm Desert Middle School. She's been amazing, so she will be missed. Thank you.
Anna Conover.
I have no comments today. Thank you.
All right, I'm next. I'll just address your concerns. I'm wearing a mask because they told me I was an employee and I had to. And so I'm doing it. I'm trying to follow the law. And so when we hear, excuse me? Yeah, I know. And I'm an attorney and I follow the law. And if you don't like how it's happening, you should vote, because we take a lot of our direction from Sacramento. And if Sacramento tells us that to get our funding, we're going to teach a certain curriculum, we're going to do that. And if you want that changed, then rally the troops, and you can get rid of us, you can get rid of the supervisors, you can get rid of our assemblymen and our congressmen. But when we're here, I'm gonna follow the rules. I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to continue to do what I think is in the best interest of this district. And I would love to take this mask off. I've been fully vaccinated. This is a brand new mask, and it's actually killing my eyes, but I'm leaving it on because I'm trying to set a good example and do what they're asking me to do. And that's how we're going to lead the district. Okay? Mr. Bailey?
Further comment?
All right. Okay, so now we will move on to general function business services. We have two items here, 18.1 and 18.2. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
I think they're both resolutions, so
Do I have that as
roll call
wrong?
vote.
Is the budget adoption a resolution? Doesn't.
1 and 2.
I'm sorry,
I move that
you're
we-
right.
I move that we take 18.1 and 2 as a group. Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras.
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those,
Aye.
all those opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. General function educational services, we have two resolutions. 19.1 is resolution number 29, 2020-2021, California Department of Education contract for California State Preschool Program. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So move, Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras, is there a second?
Second by
Trish Pierce?
Yep.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. This is a roll call vote. So we have Trish Pierce,
Aye.
Linda Porras.
Aye.
Wendy Jonathan.
Aye.
Anna Conover.
Aye.
And Don Griffith says aye, and that carries 5-0. Next, we have Resolution 19.2, Resolution number 30, 2020-2021, California Department of Education contract for the pre-kindergarten and family literacy program. Do we have a motion to approve this item?
So moved. Tricia Pierce.
By Trish Pierce. Do we have a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
Second by Linda Porras. Do we have any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. This is a roll call vote. Trish Pierce.
Aye.
Linda Porras.
Aye.
Wendy Jonathan.
Aye.
Anna Conover.
Aye.
And Donald Griffith votes aye, so that carries 5-0. Now we have 19.3 through 19.16. We can take these individually or as a group.
So that we take them as a group.
By Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
By Wendy Jonathan. Is there any discussion on any of these items?
No, I just want to, we talked about, and it was brought up by Leah when she talked about groups that we have that talk, that participate, and parents and the community, and the LCAP is a perfect example of that, the local control accountability plan. I sat on the committee this year and it sat on in the past. And there are parents that are involved, community leaders, so it's so wonderful that we do get that feedback and we are transparent in that matter. So I really do appreciate that.
Other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. Now we'll move on to general function personnel service. This is 20.1 to 20.4. Do we have a motion to take these either as a group or individually?
I move that we take them as a group, 21-1 to 24. Linda Porras.
Porras, is there a second?
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
Seconded by Wendy Jonathan. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? That carries 5-0. General function, student support services. There are two items. We can either take these as a group or individually. Is there a motion to approve these items?
I move to take 21.1 and 21.2 together as a group.
By Wendy Jonathan. Is there a second?
Linda Porras.
Seconded by Linda Porras. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? And that carries 5-0. Okay, general function superintendent. We have a resolution 31, increasing the annual compensation of members of the Board of Education of the Desert Sands Unified School District. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
By Wendy Jonathan.
Second, Linda Porras.
Seconded by Linda Porras. Is there any discussion?
I'm just going to clarify because someone might listen to that and say, oh my goodness, we get paid $788 or something like that a month, which would be $78 for 10%, but we're asking for, how much is that? 5%, so we're asking for $35 more. And what people might not realize that is there are school events, any school events that we attend, we do not get reimbursed from the district. We have to pay out of our own pocket. When I go and visit a school and read a book to the schools, which I love doing, I buy the book and I bring it to the school and drop it off and leave it with the teacher. Those are taken out of our own funds. So it's not a huge, although someone might look and say that's 5%, it's 5% of $788 a month. And we only get paid, do we get paid 12 months out of the year? I guess so, yeah, don't we? Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I actually was going to mention, while it is 5%, I know that most of the employees at Desert Sands got 0.5% pay increase. So I would have a hard time voting for a 5% increase for the board.
Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, I would argue that if you look back in the history, I know I've been on the school board for 8 years. We've taken this twice before. In the 8 years, we've only gotten 5% twice in 8 years. So it's not as if it's something that happens all the time, but as I said, everything that we spend, our transportation, everything is on our own shoulders.
Discussion? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Trish Pierce?
Nay.
Linda Porras?
Yes.
Wendy Jonathan?
Aye.
Anna Conover?
Nay.
Don Griffith votes aye, so that carries 3-2. Okay, consent items, student matters, there aren't any. Consent items, business services, we have 18 items, 24.1 to 24.18. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Move that we take them as a group. Linda Porras.
Is there a second?
Second by Tricia Pierce.
Seconded by Trish Pierce. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. Consent items, educational services. There are 3 items, 25.1 to 25.3. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
I move to take 25.1 to 25.3 in educational services as a group.
By Wendy Jonathan. Is there a second?
Second, Linda Porras.
Seconded by Linda Porras. Is there any discussion on any of these items? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? That carries 5-0. Consent items, personnel services, we have none. Consent items, student support services, we have 7, 27.1 to 27.7. Is there a motion to take these either individually or as a group?
Take them as a group.
By
Linda Porras.
Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second by Tricia Pierce.
Seconded by Tricia Pierce. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? I believe that carries 5-0. Consent items, superintendent, there are none. 29, personnel services. This was an amended item at the beginning of the meeting, so is there a motion? Oh, you have blind items too? Oh my gosh. All right. Start talking.
Play the role of Dr. Salazar this evening to do the personnel action readouts regarding agenda item number 29, specifically 29.1. We are pleased to recommend the appointments of, and I have 3 under certificated. First is Amy Zink to the position of Madison Elementary School principal. Second, and this relates back to the addenda modification to reflect a start date of July 1, we're recommending Deborah Dolan as the principal at Palm Desert Charter Middle School. And lastly, Jane McGuire as a school psychologist.
Okay, with the amended item and the blind items filled in, is there a motion to approve 29.1?
So moved. Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
Second, Wendy Jonathan.
Jonathan? Is there any discussion?
I have to say that Debbie was actually my kid's vice principal when She was over at Marywood when my kids were in preschool. So she's really, I'm very excited about her taking on the role as principal over at Palm Desert Charter Middle School. I think she'll do an incredible job. So congratulations to her. They've always been, the Oliphant family has been so active in this community, and she really knows the students and the community that she works in. You know what, and I'm going to say I was really naughty because when I did my list, I forgot to print up my people that are retired. So does anybody else have them?
It's Janine Domenicini.
Thank you. You
from
are
Ford.
doing a great job,
I just
President.
have it in my notes here. She had 24 years of service, and so she'll be missed. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I will abstain. Anna Conover.
All those opposed? Okay, that item carries 401. Okay. Applause by Mr. Geyer. Section 30, Personnel Actions Classified. Is there a motion to approve item? Do we have any blind items?
We do. We have
Okay,
three.
go ahead.
As pertains to item 30 on the agenda. Again, I'll play Dr. Salazar this evening. Specific to 30.1, classified personnel, we are pleased to recommend the appointments of Tiffany Norton to the position of Chief Innovation Information Officer, Felisa Waynick, Director of Risk Management, and Tamara Hagee Lopez, Mental Health Therapist.
Okay, with the addition of those blind items, is there a motion to approve 30.1?
So move, Linda Porras.
By Linda Porras. Is there?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
Seconded by Tricia Pierce. Any discussion?
Yes, I just want to say congratulations to Tiffany. I went to high school with her mom, and I'm just so proud of her. I'm so proud of her as principal at Dr. Carrion, and I just look forward to her doing this, and I think she's a perfect fit, and I'm really excited for her. So congratulations, Tiff.
We also had two retirements. Leah Aguiar from La Quinta High School, a paraeducator with 26 years experience. Mary Zazuda, Jackson Elementary, 3 years. And then a special note that we had one of our employees pass away, Flavia Reyes, and so our condolences go out to her family. That's not how we like to see people leave the district, so we're sorry.
I did want to say regarding Tiffany Norton, I agree with everything that Ms. Porras said, but also I think that it will be a loss for Dr. Carrion because I think she's done an amazing job there. So there are going to be some big shoes to be filled over there, but I can't think of a better choice by the district. So thank you. Great job, again, for picking the right people. So.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that carries 5-0. Call out of closed session actions? No.
None.
We have none. Suggestions for future agendas? Trish Pierce.
I have none.
Linda Porras.
I have none.
Wendy Jonathan.
I have none.
Anna Conover.
I have none.
And I don't have any for this evening. Announcements. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education is Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the District Education Center Boardroom at 47950 Dune Palms Road, La Quinta, California. We are going to go back into closed session, but we will not have any call out on them, so we'll call the meeting as adjourned.